got to say, it's been so exciting to watch the rise of you guys over the years. So I was wondering if you could start off by just telling us a little bit about what some of the highlights have been over the past couple of years, because you guys have done so many amazing things.
Mm. Um, well, I guess it all really started this year for us. I mean, before that, it was kind of it started as like a solo project that I was just running from home, and then it kind of evolved into that kind of semi-serious, local band status. And then this year, I mean, we got selected to play Progfest, and we were like, all right, this is it, knuckle down, this is our big break kind of thing. And yeah, we played that show, and then Wild Thing picked us up, and then all of a sudden, we were just, playing these tours that, we never dreamed of a couple of years ago. So touring with Circles, and then doing a headline tour, a successful headline tour. It was crazy for us.
What was that evolution like, going from a solo project into a project with other band members? How did that make you feel? Was it a gradual kind of thing, or did it all happen very, very quickly?
It was a pretty gradual thing. We've gone through a lot of members, and yeah, just sort of evolved over 3 years. Just sort of, really finding the right people that, with the right levels of dedication, to take it as far as, the rest of the band wanted it to go. But in terms of the music, I still write and record most of the music, but now with this current lineup, it's starting to shift towards a more collaborative process, which is both easier in a production standpoint, and also, the music is a bit more, and has a few more flavors in it.
Yeah. So, touring with the likes of Circles and groups like that, tell us a little bit about what you guys have learnt from going on the road with bands like that, and what's that been like, from going from gigs around Ballarat to doing a headline tour around Australia?
Yeah, well, probably the first the first thing we've learnt is how much we enjoy driving, because we've been trying to save a lot of money, save a lot of costs by driving everywhere around Australia, and Australia is really sparse. So there's a lot of driving involved, but it really solidified the fact that this is what we want to be doing, and this is really what we want to do, and the lengths that we'll go to achieve it. And touring with these other bands really solidify that, because seeing them, at the stage that they're at in their projects and stuff, it's really inspirational to see hey, these guys are normal people, and they're doing what we want to do in a few years' time, and they're living the dream as well.
Yeah. So driving, is that something that's kind of inspires you to write music as well? Because I talk to a lot of musicians and some say, nah, once I'm on the road, I can't be creative. Other people say, you know what, being in different towns actually makes me more creative. So how has that process worked for you?
Yeah, it's definitely good. I mean, you get a lot of time to just think. And I think a lot of the time when you're in your studio, you're at your work desk and you're thinking, all right, I need to write this song, I need to record this song. But when you've got, an 8-hour drive to just sort of sit there, think about music that you're going to write, and just come up with all these ideas and kind of build up a big sort of, bank of musical ideas, it's a lot more freeing than just, sitting at your desk or in your chair.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely, it's good. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about this tour to the United States with Caligula's Horse. How's it come about, and what are you guys looking forward to the most about being able to play in the US?
Well, we kind of met Caligula's Horse through Dale, their new bassist. He was doing lights for us at one of our shows in Brisbane, and we really hit it off with him. He was, he loved our set. We loved him. Like, he's the nicest guy ever. And then, sorry, my messenger's going crazy at the moment. And then I did some video work with Adrian. He was filming a gig in Melbourne and asked me to be a second camera. So, then I met Adrian, and then we met Jim at a Brisbane gig, and we all just really got along, and we think that, like, their music is in the same vein as ours. Like, it's a really good fit. It's kind of progressive, but it's not like, it's progressive metal, but it isn't too heavy. It's got that really melodic sort of accessible melodic drive behind it. And this tour came up, and we were just like, all right, we have to do this. Like, this is what we've been waiting for. So we just jumped at the chance to play along with them. And going to the US, I mean, none of us have been there before. So it's going to be, a completely different place, and we're going to be playing, our music to people we've never met before, by the hundreds. So we're still kind of getting our heads around it, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it is such a huge step forward.
I'm looking at the list now of the places that you're playing in the States, and I'm seeing iconic cities like LA, New York, Boston, Nashville. Which cities are you looking forward to going to the most, and are you hoping that you get a chance to take a bit of a look around while you're there as well?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to LA, because I've had a few friends that have been over there, and they just say it's crazy. And I think any of the big cities, will be really eye-opening, because Melbourne is very spread out, kind of like big population, but huge surface area. But in America, I think everything will seem a lot more hectic.
Yeah.
It's just going to be so different, like anywhere we go. And we're hopefully going to be able to have a walk around and see some sights. So it's kind of looking to be the holiday of our dreams, I guess.
Yeah. The prog sound here in Australia, as we've seen with Progfest, Aussie music fans have fallen in love with it, and we've seen a lot of Aussie prog bands go across to Europe and do really big things as well. What do you know about the US prog scene?
I'm not really too sure on the US prog scene. I'm just hoping that, I know that Europe sort of kind of favour the more sort of old school, kind of more like, not theatrical, but I guess the more traditional kind of prog metal styles.
Yeah.
Whereas I think America is more in tune with, the really alternative and like the kind of breaking edge of prog music and prog metal especially. And I think that us being, a younger band with, some more recent influences, that, our sound would probably fit in America more so than Europe.
Yeah.
Which is really, like, good to think about.
Do you get nervous when you're playing in a country for the first time? Like, does it change at all? We talk about that difference between Aussie music fans and music fans from around the world. Do you kind of get a little bit nervous when you step out onto a stage in another country for the first time?
Well, we've actually never left Australia so far.
Yeah.
I definitely know the feeling, like, the first time we played in Brisbane, it's like we're so used to playing, Melbourne and Ballarat. Ballarat's like a tiny little town with a very sort of small music scene. And when we started playing, these tours and stuff, we were playing in cities that we'd never played before, like Adelaide. And yeah, it is really nerve-wracking because you know that every city has its own sort of tight scene and, everyone knows each other, and there's all these, bands native to that city that, everyone's talking about and everyone comes to their shows, and you sort of rock up there and you're like, we're the outsiders. Is anyone going to be here? So it is always nerve-wracking, but then it's also really relieving when, people start coming through the door and then all of a sudden, like, the room's full and you're like, wow, who are these people, that I've never met before that are coming to see our band play? So, it's really nerve-wracking thinking we're going to be in a completely different country.
Yeah.
So it's sort of the same deal, but on a much larger scale.
Yeah. Now, I've had the privilege of being able to sit down and take a listen to some of the tracks off the album. Tell us a little bit about this album. What's been inspiring you to write while you've been working on this album?
It's kind of weird. This album... this album's been in production for, I'd probably say about 3 years now. It's part of a 2-album release. But, yeah, I started working on it about 3 years ago, like writing it. And then I've been recording it for about 2 years. And mostly it's about, coming of age. Like, some of the songs on the album I wrote when I was 17 or 18 years old. Like Tales of Terminal was originally a song that I wrote in 2012.
Yep.
And, we reworked it and put it on the album because, it's really fitting that, to take songs that I wrote when I was 18, when I'm, singing about, coming of age and, everything sort of transitioning from, being, music being a hobby into, taking it really seriously. And, that's kind of like what happens in life. You've got these passions and hobbies when you're younger, and they do turn into, your job, basically.
Yeah.
So the album's kind of, it's self-referential in a way. It's almost an album about writing itself.
Yep.
It's kind of like Inception, I guess. But yeah, because it's been in production so long. There's been so many changes in my life, like a lot of relationships that have come and gone. So it's really just it's a story about my life and my journey, through becoming an adult, I guess.
Yeah. What's that like going back and revisiting lyrics and music that you wrote 7 years ago? Because like you said, life changes, you've got older, relationships come and go. So what's that actually like going back and exploring something that you've written 7 years ago when so many changes have happened?
It's weird because there's so many similarities between what I was doing back then and what I'm doing now. And like, it's nice to know that there's still a lot of my, childhood influences in, the current music that we're writing. But yeah, it is really, it's kind of sad sometimes because, you open up, the tab for a song that you've written so long ago and, you barely remembered it, but then you listen to it and it all just comes rushing back and you get all these memories and stuff. So I think that's sort of why I chose to put some older songs on this album because, for me personally, it seemed like the appropriate thing to do.
Yeah, yeah. So talk to us a little bit about the recording process for this album. You mentioned that it's taken 2 or 3 years